1 in 16 young Australians are currently experiencing depression. 1 in 6 young Australians are currently experiencing an anxiety disorder. 1 in 4 young Australians currently has a mental health condition of some kind.
My name is Ryan Smith. I'm an actor and a stand-up comedian and a writer, and I have a major depressive disorder. Bam.
Mum, Dad, I don't want to be a clown.
Sorry. Oh, I didn't come early. First time for everything.
Chelsea!
Chelsea, shut the fuck up! You're ruining my scene!
What are you going to be instead, son?
A mime?
Or a filmmaker.
Oh.
I've done one called Chuckles, which is one of my favourites. It's about a family of clowns and the son comes out to his parents that he wants to be an accountant. And I played his father because it seems to be, as I become one of the oldest students, I'm playing people 40 years older than me.
Your grandfather was a clown.
I also did a film called Gumshoe, which was an old-fashioned film noir film in which I played an Irish priest, and I sound like Maggie Smith. It's a terrible accent.
He had red hair. I'm sorry, I noticed you're not writing any of this down.
And then I wrote my first short film not that long ago called Steps. Not long after that, a friend of mine was making a documentary about stand-up comedy and he asked me to be in it. Next thing I knew, I'd walked in and he'd booked a gig and I had about 3 hours to put together my first gig, which scared the crap out of me. Did the one gig and I thought, that was good, I've done that now. And then around about January, I went back and started doing some open mics. And I've been doing that ever since as well.
I'm done.
Okay, well can I do this or is it gonna fuck with your continuity? I got diagnosed with depression shortly after a breakup with my first ever girlfriend. It goes undiagnosed for such a long time. The main thing I like to think of it is high metabolism. That's all it is. My body absorbs serotonin, or the happy chemical, quicker. So it's sort of like, you know, those annoying people with high metabolism who they say, you know, they can eat whatever they want and they'll never get fat. Well, I can eat whatever I want and I'll never get happy. Hooray for me. But that's all it is. And as soon as you look at it like that, it's not so terrifying because you're not broken or your soul isn't broken. At the same time, the biggest thing about it is you have to take a responsibility for your illness. If you have asthma, it's your responsibility to carry around an asthma pump. If you have depression, it's your responsibility to take control of it and find yourself an answer. And I'm not saying that's easy either. There are two kinds of prejudices, I would say, towards mental illness. The first kind of prejudice is people who still think it doesn't exist. The other thing is, of course, now that we're sort of more aware about mental illness, people will be reluctant to hire them, even though legally, of course, you're not allowed to be reluctant to hire them, but you also don't have to disclose why you don't hire a person.
There's absolutely a prejudice against people with mental illness. One that's so ingrained that it's hard to get it out of my own head.
I was made aware of the fact that doing this documentary and speaking openly about mental health might result in prejudice.
If employers found out about my anxiety, it could possibly affect my employability.
But with the right resources and with the right support network behind you, you can accomplish anything with mental illness.
I do photography. I'm the resident photographer at the Comedy Room in Northgate.
I got the top score in the state for singing and I was offered a position at the Conservatorium of Music.
I guess I'm pretty heavily involved in politics. This year I had an internship. I was selected for an internship known as Union Summer and was sent to the National Union of Workers.
This year I got offered it's a position with the Golden Key Society, which is an invitation-only position that only accepts the top 15% of each bachelor's degree.
1 in 4 people suffers from something like this. You don't need to tread lightly around us. We're just normal people.
I can't deny that mental illness is a wall. Cannot. And my argument would be that people with mental illnesses, the more we talk about them, the more we get to understand them and the more supported we feel because it becomes more normal. And I think a great way to make something normal is to do comedy about it. So please, donate today to Bipolar Bear so that we can make it to a Melbourne stage for the Melbourne Fringe Festival in Melbourne. And together, maybe we can make grizzly bears a little less grisly. This is a play created for the 1 in 4 to say mental illness is something that can be overcome. Because if people laugh about them, they're not scary. They're not scary, they lose their power. I've always think that in my own way I can change the world. And the way I can do that is if I can teach somebody something or make them happy, then they'll spread that onto someone else and it's like a ripple effect. And before you know it, the stone's gone into the water and the ripple is spread around the whole world. And these kind of delusions of grandeur I have or whatever, they're what make me happy, is knowing that I can change things. That and breasts.